Somebody called my bluff, so I'm making a video. So, during my first incident, I would suppose my first experience with going viral, and it didn't turn out very well. I had a brand associated with me that I don't necessarily disagree with, but I did not expect it to be my public brand. And let's just say that unexpected turn of events did not turn out well, especially considering certain social issues that were going on at the time. One of them was the sort of online um, flanderization and persecution of the spiritual community and witches. And it wasn't really helped by the fact that there were so many scammers involved, but also a lot of rumors going around. One of them, especially during the peak of like a return of Christianity, in a sense, in mainstream, a lot of them trying to make me seem like Voldemort because people can't be responsible for their own energy or have negative intentions of their own. But somebody who is flamboyant about their spirituality becomes an easy target. And also, there's this weird sort of egotistical hierarchical thing. I didn't know Mean Girl came in witch. Um, People would say that about me probably because of my visuals and because of their insecurity. But when it comes to that, I'm pretty casual. So, um, and that's not a signal, that's just a statement. Anyways, but yeah, so I've noticed these things online when it comes to a lot of people from the witch community that they seem to want to downplay you or want to chin check you about openly being spiritual, especially entering different spiritual spaces, which is insane because the internet is for everybody. Now, I assume this is part of the sort of coercive group of people who view me and pretend to be fans. And they're not looking for fans. They're looking for, has it been 2 minutes? Excuse my language. They're looking for bitches. Anyways, but there seems to be a trend to where they try to downplay your knowledge or to make us seem a lot more inept than we are. Some of us, especially for those of us of certain ethnicities, were always raised to be spiritually respectful. And we don't, especially people from like Louisiana and such, we don't engage in practices that are obviously closed practices. And in spaces like certain parts of Texas that have been a little bit more progressive and a little bit more just educated on spirituality in general, like for example, like witches and stuff like that were pretty common. They also have common sense when it comes to those things as well. So it's just a lot of projection from people who tend to be in isolated areas where it's not as common, and people are a little bit more out of touch with those things. But these are also people that tend to make it their entire personality, which is nothing wrong with that. But just because it's all of your existence doesn't mean you're correct about everything in regards to it and about how people interact with it. Some of your teachings are um, unnecessary and haughty. Anyways, it's interesting when I make posts on TikTok about it because I usually get a reception in regards to it about them saying like, oh, like acting like I'm encroaching on their space. Never mind the logic of it, of me literally just staying in one spot most of the time. So I'm not going into some random witch's territory. And even if they mean spiritually, again, spiritual spaces are vast, and trying to take claim to those spaces really just feels like unnecessary chin checking to somebody who's not even in your backyard. And no, this isn't a reference to you. That's a specific person. Don't worry about it. I don't feel like re-recording this because I'm kind of slaying. But anyways, but when it comes to online spaces for people who aren't even local and around me, it's weirdo energy. So you're just following me to then try to to then try to sort of put me in my place in your ranks. And when I speak up about it, uh, do put reposts about how new witches or whatever are trying to encroach into someone's spiritual territory and warn them. And it's really an excuse for a lot of these people to do baneful magic, to send negative spells, and then they get surprised when you clap back. They get surprised when you send back their energy and want to make a big deal out of it and use their resources to make you seem like a problem when they have nothing better to do but try to spiritually sap or sabotage those that make them feel insecure in one way or another, or that have a certain personal freedom to themselves that apparently makes them envious. And it's really interesting to see, but it's really sad to interact with. And it's really irritating to interact with because it's like somebody from out of state saying, hey, you're trying to do witchcraft in my territory and trying to be the big witch in town. And you're not even in the same town. That's the energy that they have. And making assumptions about how someone practices just to inform them with the worst attitude possible really doesn't help rebuild a community that was ruined by scammers and crusaders. And then they wonder why it's hard to find people, but people want community, not judges with bad attitudes. Yeah. Especially if it's people you don't really want to be judged by.